As we gather together, we acknowledge that the land upon which our church and homes exist is the ancestral land stolen from the people of the Shoshone-Bannock, the Shoshone-Paiute, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai, and Nez Perce nations, along with many other tribes whose names have been lost in history. We acknowledge that our presence here today is founded upon the exclusions and erasures of many indigenous peoples. With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our ongoing commitment to the work of dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist online Zoom service. We are a community gathered to nurture spiritual growth, deep connection, and justice for a better world. I am the Reverend Sarah Lawal, and it is my honor to serve this beloved community.
I am Mark Zimmer, your celebrant this morning. We welcome all who join us in a spirit of curiosity, love, and justice. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, your presence is a blessing. Whether you're here every Sunday, once or twice a year, or Zooming with us this morning for the first time, we're glad you were here.
We would like to have a moment of greeting one another, even as we continue to remain virtual. So if you're able and as you're comfortable, I invite you to turn your cameras on, switch over to gallery view for a moment, and scroll through the pages, give everybody a wave, a thumbs up, have a moment in the chat to say hello to all of your beloveds who are out there. There we all are. I see you. Carrie and David are watching from home today. Hey, hey. And Anne-Marie, Carolyn, it's beautiful. You know, I don't get to see your faces all that often on a Sunday morning. I'm usually very focused on my text and my job. So I'm scrolling through with all of you this morning. Harriet, hello from Portland. What a delight to see you out there. So thank you all. It's great to have a little moment. I know that we miss that opportunity to be able to hug one another and clasp one another's hands, but we'll continue to have a little virtual greeting on Sunday mornings. Thank you.
We want to take a moment to welcome those newcomers among us. We know it takes a lot of courage to check out a new community, and we are so glad you've joined us today. We invite you to introduce yourself in the chat so that our community can warmly welcome you, and we invite you to fill out a newcomer card. We'll post a link in the chat so that we can keep you up to date with all that's happening in our fellowship. We have a few upcoming events we want to spotlight.
We have our orientation meeting for our coming of age youth program that is starting up this fall. We are going to do a thing, everybody. This is for grades 6 through 12 at noon today. And hopefully most of you saw the email that we have postponed our outdoor water communion worship experience until next week. Because yes, the irony due to the water that might be pouring down from the skies.
It is our practice here at the fellowship to donate 25% of our unpledged plate offerings to support our social justice ministries. For the month of September, it's the Agency for the New Americas. Agency for New Americans, I'm sorry. Helping refugees achieve self-sufficiency in their new lives by providing the skills, education, and support they need. 25% of our unpledged plate offerings will go to the Agency for New Americans at the end of this month. And we will no longer have a special time for collecting our online offering while our services are virtual, but you can make your gift at any time by going to our website at boiseuu.org and clicking Give at the top right corner. We tried to make it easy. Or you can download the brand new giving app from Vanco, V-A-N-C-O, to make your gift anytime during the service or after it. Your checks by mail are also welcome.
Today is our annual water communion service. I'm hoping you can hear me, friends, because I'm having some delightful technical difficulties. Each year, we begin the new program year together with a service focused on water. We honor the powerful themes water represents in our lives. Themes of renewal, of healing, of flow, of strength. In a unique ritual, we gather the waters of our community, your waters, whether they're from your adventures or your backyards or the rivers and creeks and canals that surround us or the kitchen faucet. The waters speak to our connectedness to one another, to the whole of life and to our planet. Our waters receive our collective blessing and serve as our communal holy water for the year. And because, as you heard of the ironically wet weather, we're postponing the in-person gathering of our waters and our outdoor water communion worship until next week. So you have some extra time to get those waters. But after today's service, if it continues to keep raining this afternoon, you might want to just go outside and collect some water and have a moment of connection with the sacred water blessing us from the sky.
The first water communion ritual was created for the 1980 Unitarian Universalist Women and Religion Convocation. It was created by Carolyn McDade and Lucille Shuck, Longview. They chose water as an inclusive symbol of spirituality. They invited women to bring water from across the country and share the water's significance. This is Cora, by the way. She's wanting to get in on things. And of that service, Carolyn and Lucille said these words: water is more than simply a metaphor. It is elemental and primary. Oops, lost my place. It is elemental and primary, calling forth feelings of awe and reverence. Acknowledging that the ocean is considered by many to be the place from which all life on our planet came. It is the womb of life, and that amniotic water surrounds each of us prenatally. We now realize that this worship service was for us a new story of creation. We choose water as our symbol of empowerment.
Today, we continue this ritual with the waters of our lives, honoring the holy water that connects us each to all. So we will have a water blessing in today's service. And I invite you to go and get some water at whatever point in the service feels comfortable for you. The blessing will come near the very end, and have it near you so that when you can participate in the blessing, perhaps you still have your little vial of water from last year's water gathering. But if you don't, feel free to get water from your faucet or your home and maybe put it in a beautiful vessel, something that you can deem as sacred, your favorite mug or glass or bowl, and you can do this at any time. As we enter into this time of worship together, let us take a moment to breathe together. Fill your body with breath. Breathe, knowing you are connected to this beloved community and the source of life. As you hear the words of our prayer this morning, I invite you to hear the thines and the thous as spoken to water as that source of life. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-driven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream.
Each week we light a flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of welcome, of hope, a light of truth and love. We join in this lighting in solidarity and community with hundreds of other Unitarian Universalists lighting chalices today in homes and in virtual worship services, reminding us that we are connected to one another and to a larger community of faith and love. If you have a chalice nearby, you're invited to light it with us now and hold your chalice up to your camera. Switch to gallery view if you'd like to see all the chalices in our community. And then you're invited to share in the chat where your chalice is lit this morning.
With our collective chalices lit in all our spaces, we offer you this call to worship from the Reverend Karen Johnson. This is a call to flow as rivers flow, effortless and mighty, to find hope in each other, to inspire each other, to never go it alone.
This is a call to new beginnings, to new creations, to new chances to do good deeds, to forgive and to seek forgiveness, and be written into the book of life.
This is a call to offer solace when it is needed and where, to find joy whenever it offers itself up in the here and now.
This is a call to find your heart's most precious intention, letting it have its wild way with you.
This is a call to come back, to come home, come to your senses, come to yourself, come to your whole and holy self.
This is a call for body and soul, for each and for every to be healed by flowing waters, by mighty waters, by holy, sacred waters that show us the way. Come, let us worship together.
I invite everyone to cozy up for our Time for All Ages this morning. Our story this morning is going to help us explore how us as humans find meaning and support in the water that is naturally abundant on our beautiful planet. It's called The Cycles That Connect Us by Molly House Gordon and Jamila Batchelder. Rain falls upon the surface of the earth and pulled down by gravity, each drop begins to flow downhill. Drop by drop, merging together, flowing together into a trickle, a streamlet, down the hills and the mountains, into the foothills, growing moment by moment into a mighty stream. From a trickle, a streamlet, to a creek, to a mighty river flowing onward. Some of the water seeps down into the earth, down through the soil, as groundwater or as deep aquifers. Here's a kind of scientific diagram. Under our earth, under the surface of our earth, are aquifers. Earth filled with water, saturated with water, where it will stay for days, years, even millennia under the surface of our earth, until it's pulled up again, pulled up through tree roots, through wells and springs and geysers, up back into the surface of the earth, rejoining the dance of water on the surface, the flowing, flowing, flowing. The water flows on until it collects together in ponds, lakes, rivers, the ocean. Vast oceans and seas, and all the while the sun is there, shining down, warming up all of these many forms of water. What a beautiful warm sun we have. Calling the water the sun calls the water back into vapor and so light, to grow so light that it rises back up as steam, each molecule moving back together, rising to the higher and higher atmosphere, buoyant and swirling, up to where the air grows cool and the water vapor slows, cools, and begins to turn back into these recognizable droplets of water. Together, droplet finds droplet and joins again and again, forming clouds that grow heavier and heavier until at last the weight of the water pulls it down again and rain falls back to the surface of the earth. Everywhere on earth at every moment is somewhere, everywhere on earth is somewhere in this cycle, cycles upon cycles, falling water, flowing water, sinking, transforming, rising again and again and again. I want you to take a moment with me now, thinking about this beautiful cycle and all the many forms that water takes on our earth. And I want you to find a movement that feels good for your body, that reflects one form of water that you particularly love. Maybe for raindrops, you can sprinkle, lift your arms and hands and sprinkle water down. Maybe for a river, you can practice swaying side to side. Think of something that, a way you can move your body that reflects the motion and cycling of water. Our planet has all the water it will ever have and has ever had. This water cycle has been spiraling and cycling around and around for more than 4.5 billion years. This means that the water we gather in our annual ritual comes from all over the world and also from across all time on Earth. The water we gather today has traveled through the root systems of trees long since returned to soil, burst from geysers that ceased spraying millennia ago, and flowed down rivers that have changed course entirely over billions of years. This morning, we also remember that water cycles don't only involve rivers and plants and clouds, but involves all sorts of creatures. Rabbits around us, frogs, our pets, creatures we have never met and we may never meet, and us. The water cycles through us, coming in and out of our bodies in so many different ways. That means that the molecules in the water you gathered from the Boise River or from your sink could have been the tears of joy and sorrow cried by the first person who ever felt love, or that the water from our church sink contains within it molecules that were once the best ever chicken soup someone ever ate, or in the sweat of the people who built our church and our town, or the blood of the mothers that birthed our grandmothers, 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 great-grandmother. This water may have even been from dinosaur pee. I wonder, what and when and where else do you imagine this water has been? What is a way that you can affirm that water is precious? What actions can you take to protect and conserve water? As we gather the waters of community this morning, let us remember that they connect us to everything that has ever been and everything that will ever be. And that is the power of the water we share.
Amen. Thank you for that beautiful story, Jem, for that reminder of how water can connect us and renew us and remind us of this great cycle of life that has been and always will be and will continue to reshape in so many different ways. It really is, listening to you, a reminder of how water can be holy in our lives and how the connection that we have with each other and with our planet, it is also a sacred, holy connection. And we honor that sacredness each week by sharing ourselves with one another, sharing our joys and sorrows as a reminder to each other that we are not alone on this journey of life, that we have companions and beloveds who will hold us and carry us and reach out to us when we need it. You are always invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. I want to begin with a few joys of our community. First, Annie Robertson expresses her deep gratitude for all those who have cared for her, reached out to her, and helped her in this time post-surgery. And our collective joy for in this community at the marriage of Nancy Riley, our own Nancy Riley, to Matt Wilkening, which took place on our beautiful grounds yesterday evening in a beautiful ceremony, a little wind whipped, but we are delighted at their marriage and we wish them all the joys and blessings in this new journey together. As you share your joys and sorrows in the chat with one another and receive and carry the blessings of this beloved community, I invite you also to receive the beautiful blessing of music, of holy waters music sung by our extraordinary choir.
Holy waters
Oh, choir, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for all of the joys and sorrows that have been shared, the loss, the pending surgery, the concern for our family members for so many different reasons, for those who are healing and recovering, for those who refuse to get vaccinated. We hold all of those joys and sorrows in our hearts, alongside those silent prayers and people that we keep close. And we gather them up with the joys and sorrows of our world and planet, breathing in peace and sending forth love. Oh, my friends, this is our second water communion online. This is one of my very favorite services of the year. This ritual of sacred connection and holy blessing. A reminder that no matter where our water comes from or where we come from, we're all connected to one another. Jem's story really beautifully illustrated that for us today, and connected through time, through the ages. Whether we carefully transport our water from some majestic, far away place, or we frantically searched for a jar to fill from the tap on that Sunday morning, the waters that we bring to this ritual year after year, a ritual this fellowship has practiced for more than 25 years. The water we bring contains our lives, our energy, our hopes, our dreams, our love, and we gather up all that collective water in a single common vessel to symbolize our connection. And we bless it. We make it holy. It becomes our community holy water. And I have our community holy water vessel right here. I'm lucky enough that it gets to sit in my office and remind me of all of you and of our connection every day. Holy waters make us one. These last few months, it's been a little bit hard to conjure up that feeling of connection to our whole and holy beloved community. You know, that physical feeling we get when we're in space together, especially when we've only seen a handful of people over these last 18 months. I mean, I just hugged Mary Stell for the first time in what felt like forever, at probably 2 years. 2 years. So there are fleeting moments like those when we get to see one another in person, or the occasional porch gathering or meeting. Sometimes it's a chance meeting at the store on the Greenbelt. But when we decided to postpone our in-person outdoor water communion, understandably so, none of us wanted to shiver in the cold, wet rain. But I just felt this sense of dejection and frustration at the universe for yet another wrench in everything, and in the form of water, no less. So, oh, the irony. I do hope that you will all join us next week. You have one extra week to collect that water, perhaps even from today's rain, if you like. It's in moments like these when things feel like they're piling up and I feel like the world is against me that I like to get outside. So I've been going outside a lot lately. The fresh air and the sunshine help. A walk often helps me find some clarity and some peace. I have a favorite route that I like to walk, starting at the Greenbelt at 36th Street, walking along the river and then winding around all the lakes of Esther Simplot Park and Quinn's Pond. So this Friday, when we finally determined that we needed to postpone our water communion service, it took me many minutes of power walking through my frustration to remind myself of the significance of this walk. My favorite walking route is one in which I am surrounded by water. Water is my favorite sacred space. I think of it as my spirit animal sometimes. It is where I feel called when life feels intense and overwhelming. Sometimes just being around it is enough. Sometimes I will stop and sit right on the water's edge for just a few moments of reflection. Sometimes I feel called to tip my toes in and feel the water on my skin, even when it might be a little too cold. When I was pregnant with my eldest child, my OB's office was in Santa Monica, California. I had a complicated pregnancy with a lot of issues, and many of those doctor visits came with the news of yet more challenges. So after my appointments, I would often drive those extra couple of miles to the beach and walk down to the shoreline and just plop down in the sand, watching the waves of the ocean roll in and out. The sound of their crashing on the shoreline so loud, it would push all the worries and thoughts still lurking in my mind and spirit away, opening me up to something deeper, to awe and wonder, to the beauty and mystery of life, to a connection, to that force of life beyond my knowing, to that which is larger than us. In the experience of being with the water, I'm often reminded of the words of the 23rd Psalm in the Hebrew Bible. I like Bobby McFerrin's musical arrangement the best, so I'll share those words. She makes me lie down in green meadows. Beside the still waters, she will lead. She restores my soul. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. In those moments when I seek out water, still water or otherwise, I'm searching for the holy, and water becomes a place where I find it, a place where I experience a moment of renewal, of restoration. A return to possibility occurs, sometimes slowly and quietly, sometimes more intense and immediate, but every time I welcome the sense of the holy in my midst. Holy not because some heavenly being made it so, holy because my presence allowed it to be so. Holy waters make us new. Holy waters make us whole. The element of water plays a common and traditional role in many religious ceremonies and has for centuries, from baptism and holy water blessings of Christianity to the washing of hands and feet in Judaism and Islam, to the purifying power of the Ganges River for Hindus, to indigenous rain dances. Water infuses our spiritual lives all over the world. We seem to have this collective global calling to honor water. And now we have our Unitarian Universalist water communion, which reimagines the entire construct of what holy water means and why it is holy in the first place. Poet Philip Larkin captures the power of water in religion in his poem. If I were called in to construct a religion, I should make use of water. Going to church would entail affording to dry different clothes. My liturgy would employ images of sousing, a furious, devout drench. And I should raise in the east a glass of water where any angled light would congregate endlessly. Making water holy affirms its power in our lives as the substance necessary for all of life to thrive, which is rather miraculous when you think about it. Life evolved from creatures of the sea on a planet that is 71% water. And that water has carved, shaped, and created some of the most beautiful natural wonders of our world, like our own Snake River Canyon right here in our beautiful state. Our bodies are 62% water. Our brain and muscles are 75% water. Before we are born, we are readied for this world, cradled in a water-filled womb. Water reminds us we are truly interconnected. If we think about that idea that water never disappears, like the cycle of water in our story this morning, that its molecules merely change their form, and we can honor and receive the power of anything that water carries with it. Like we can pause, like in our story, by the river to connect with and welcome the tears of joy and love and sorrow that have been shed in that river. I know I will never think about chicken soup the same way again. I will forever imagine and receive the blessing of those who ate the first chicken soup ever made. We can honor and bless the water that gets used to cook the breakfasts that Carolyn Bevington and Will Emerson Page make for Corpus Christi House. Over and over again, hydrogen and oxygen molecules form and reform over time through the ages. In just contemplating that idea, we can begin to truly feel that deep connection to all of life. We are made of the same water that has been reforming itself for eons. With all the water that has been cycling around us and through us, we may quite possibly have some of the same molecules that were floating around inside Socrates or the Buddha or Jesus. Perhaps we even share some of those same water molecules with Sacagawea or Harriet Tubman or Vice President Harris. We certainly share them with Afghan refugees, with immigrants crossing the Rio Grande River. Perhaps we share some of those same molecules with Black and brown lives, with LGBT lives, even with the lives of those with whom we find ourselves divided and troubled. Because sometimes we have to wade through the troubled waters to get to the holy. As Unitarian Universalists, we are regularly invited to question our cultural biases, our assumptions and our privileges, to assess their impact on our unempowered and disenfranchised neighbors, causing us to feel like perhaps we are wading into troubled waters. And those troubled waters push us to really consider the inherent worth and dignity of all people, to consider our common humanity. We might ask ourselves, how deep have I waded? How much further must I go? What challenges and discomforts am I allowing myself to encounter? And what possibilities exist for us and for our community in these troubled waters? The troubled waters can feel like a struggle sometimes, like too much to bear, like we are swimming upstream, or worse, like a tidal wave is bearing down upon us and we're struggling to keep our heads above water and breathe. But the holy lives there too. How might we transform our troubled waters into holy waters? How might we heed the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching? Be like water. The Tao philosopher Lao Tzu said, water is the softest and most yielding substance. Yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Be like water. Allow yourself to step fully into the flow of life, of community. Let the waters hold you and carry you to new places. Let the troubled waters change you and carve new paths for your life, for our collective lives, like they have carved canyons for millennia. For in the troubled waters, holy waters are born. Holy waters make us new. Holy waters make us whole. Holy waters make us free. Holy waters make us one. May it always be so. Amen.
refreshed, renewed, and redeemed. Oh, give yourself over to the great flow. Let the waters of faith wash your burdens clean. Let faith live, carry, and connect you to all of the living, swimming in the stream.
Take your sorrows, take them to the water. Take those sorrows to a cool, glassy lake. Walk right in, lay down and be baptized. Rise up, refreshed, renewed, and awake. Oh, give yourself over to the great flow. Let the waters of hope wash your sorrows clean. Let hope live, carry, and connect you to all the living, swimming in the stream. Life began in the sea, where waters flow in you and me. Each and every precious drop connects and renews us on this pale blue dot. If driven to your knees by the end of day, just go down to the river and pray. And take your troubles, take them to the water. Take those troubles to a rough, rolling sea. Walk right in, lay down and be baptized. Rise up, refreshed, renewed, and at peace. Oh, give yourself over to the great flow. Let the waters of hope wash your troubles clean. Let love live, carry, and connect you to all the living, swimming in the stream.
I invite you to join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation with this prayer adapted from the Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti. Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peaceably going along, we find ourselves here in community, each called from many different journeys, many different life paths onto this river road. Some are here because of the rocking of the boat has been too much tumult, too much uncertainty, too much pain. Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, how best to steer the boat, where this journey ends. Others are here as lovers of the journey, lovers of life itself. Here in front, beside, behind, each a passenger, each a captain, doing the best we can. Rest here in your boat with me, the river calls. Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you. Let the current hold you. Let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul. Hear it whisper, I've got peace. I've got love. I've got tears. I've got strength. Amen.
Okay, friends, it's time for a blessing. Camera's not, I don't think your camera's not. So there we are. Hi, everybody. If you have your water nearby, in whatever form you have it, I invite you to get it with you now. And we're going to take this water and offer ourselves a blessing. So I invite you to just take a little bit of water onto your fingers or into the palm of your hand, just the littlest bit. You don't need to douse yourself. I have water from last year's water communion. And with your hands in prayer pose, I invite you to place your hands on your forehead, to bless your thoughts, to feel the blessing of our community for all that you carry in your mind. And then to bring your hands to your lips to bless your words, to bring the blessing of our community into the words that you speak out into the world, into the words that you speak to yourself. And then I invite you to feel that water in your hands, to rub it together, to feel the blessing of your deeds, to bring the blessing of this community in to the actions and to the care that you bring forth into the world. And I invite you to open your hands, to allow the blessing of the community and the blessing of peace to flow through you. And I invite you to take that water in your hands into fists and hold it up to feel the blessing of tears flowing through you, surrounding you. And then take that water in those hands and place them over your heart. And I invite you to feel the blessing of love surrounding you and flowing through you. And then I invite you again with your hands in prayer pose, connected to your center, sitting up as tall as you can to receive the blessing of strength surrounding you and flowing through you. Blessed be. Amen. Let us continue these blessings together in song. I invite you to join in singing with us, I've Got Peace Like a River.
like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul, in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Beautiful. Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your heart for our closing blessing. And a reminder to gather up those waters if you haven't already, and join us next Sunday after the Zoom service for our in-person water communion worship. Our worship team has a beautiful outdoor worship experience planned with multiple stations and reflection. And so we will enjoy it together, hopefully in the sunshine. Our closing blessing this morning is from Louise Clifton. This is the blessing the boats. May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. And may you, in your innocence, sail through this to that. Go forth and seek the holy waters in your lives, beloveds. May it nourish and sustain you always. Blessed are we all. Go in peace.